Have you ever met someone, and for a moment, the world seemed to pause? The noise faded, the chaos stilled, and all that remained was a quiet pull. Something deeper than attraction, something beyond coincidence. It wasn't just chemistry. It wasn't chance. It felt cosmic. Carl Jung had a word for this: synchronicity. A moment where your inner world meets the outer world and everything aligns. These moments are gentle nudges, subtle signs that whisper, "Pay attention," because sometimes the people who cross our path aren't just strangers. They're mirrors, messengers, guides, sent not by accident, but by design. And when the universe truly wants you to meet someone, it doesn't shout. It speaks in symbols, in dreams that linger, in signs that repeat, in a quiet knowing you can't explain, but can't ignore. This isn't just about romance or desire. It's about soul-level connections, the kind that wake you up, the kind that shift your path forever. So if you've ever met someone and felt like they mattered too much, too quickly, you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're remembering something your soul already knew. Chapter 1. The universe whispers, not shouts. The biggest moments in your life rarely arrive with fanfare. They don't come crashing in like thunder. They show up like soft rain, quiet, almost unnoticed, but deeply felt. That's how the universe introduces someone who's meant for you, not with chaos, but with stillness. It's not butterflies, not violins, not a cinematic moment. It's peace. It's a pause. It's an unexpected calm, where everything else fades and something in you just knows. It's not about how they look. It's about how their energy feels. Like home, like a memory you haven't lived yet, like your soul has been waiting for them all along. That isn't fantasy. That's alignment. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." When your inner world is clear, your fears faced, your wounds acknowledged, your truth embraced, the outer world responds in kind. And when it does, the right person doesn't arrive to fix or complete you. They arrive to reflect you, to remind you of who you've always been. And that is where the real connection begins. They become a mirror, but not the kind that flatters, the kind that reveals. They reflect your shadows, your light, your wounds, and your potential. You don't just see them. You see yourself through them, maybe for the first time. This isn't infatuation. This is transformation. And it all begins with a whisper. 2. The synchronicities are too precise to ignore. You think of them, and your phone lights up. A message, a call, not hours later, not the next day. Right there, as if the universe overheard your thoughts and decided to respond. You're in your head, caught in a heavy moment, and a song plays, one that hits too close to home. The lyrics echo your emotions as if they were written for you. About them, you pause. Goosebumps rise, because deep down, you feel it's not random. Something, someone, is speaking to you. And it doesn't stop there. You walk into a place you've never been before. A bookstore, a train station, an airport. And they're there. Not by plan, not by text. Just there. You lock eyes. And in that moment, it doesn't feel like chance. It feels orchestrated, like time itself held its breath for that exact second. You begin to notice patterns, their initials on license plates, their name in snippets of passing conversation. You're not searching for signs, but the signs are finding you. This isn't coincidence. This is synchronicity. One of the most profound concepts Carl Jung offered to the world. He described it as a meaningful coincidence of two or more events with no apparent causal connection, but a significance so deep you can't deny it. It's as if the universe is tapping you on the shoulder, whispering, Look closer. There's something here. Here's what most people miss. These moments, these signs, don't happen to everyone. They happen to those who are waking up, to those who are becoming conscious, to those aligning with their truth. Because when your inner world, your desires, values, energy begins to align, the outer world responds. And often, that response takes the form of a person, a soul, a mirror, a presence that keeps showing up, not to confuse you, but to awaken you. This isn't superstition. It's soul-level intelligence. It speaks not in words, but in symbols, in patterns, in timing. When you're misaligned, the universe blocks paths. But when you're in flow, it clears the way. And sometimes it sends someone who defies logic. Someone who sees you without needing to ask. Someone who feels like home in a world full of strangers. Someone who doesn't just enter your life. They activate it. They awaken what was buried, what was sacred, what was waiting. Something about them feels ancient, and you don't know why. But you can't stop thinking about them. You feel drawn, connected, even challenged, in ways that escape logic. You might try to run from it. You might doubt it. You might even deny it. But the universe keeps whispering, through moments, through signs, through that quiet, unshakable knowing. This isn't just anyone. This was written. 3. You don't just see them. You see yourself falling for someone often feels like magic. But what if the magic wasn't just about them, not their smile, not their presence, not even the way they make you feel? What if the magic was in what they awaken within you, deep beneath the surface, where old memories live, where silent wounds sleep, where parts of you have been buried, waiting to be seen? Sometimes we don't fall for a person. We fall for the version of ourselves that comes alive when they enter the room. Carl Jung called this projection, one of the most misunderstood but powerful truths in psychology. Every one of us carries two selves, the one we show the world and the one we hide, even from ourselves, the shadow, the light, the pain, the brilliance. And when someone steps into our life, we project it all, the good, the broken, the divine. That's why certain people draw us in instantly, not because they're perfect, but because they carry something your soul recognizes, something you lost, something you suppressed, something you've never had the courage to face alone. Maybe you admire their independence because you've always felt trapped. Maybe you crave their emotional calm because your mind has been chaos for years. Maybe you fear their distance because it echoes the abandonment you've never healed. They don't just reflect your desires, they reflect your wounds. And in that reflection, you don't just see a face. You see your story, your patterns, your pain, your truth. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because true connection doesn't flatter your ego. It confronts it. It pulls you out of your comfort zone. It exposes where you bleed. It shows you where you need to heal. And that's why soul connections are never easy. They're intense. They're raw. They're messy. But they are real, because they bring you face to face with the parts of yourself you've hidden, the parts that still ache in silence, the parts still waiting to be acknowledged. Sometimes you meet someone who feels like home, but the truth is, they're not your home. They're the mirror reminding you to come home to yourself. And here's the wild part. You don't always end up with that person, but you do end up changed, because they cracked something open in you. They reminded you of who you could become. And that kind of reflection, it never fades. So if someone ever made you feel more alive, more vulnerable, more seen than ever before, don't just ask, why did they come? Ask, what did they awaken in me? Because maybe, just maybe, They didn't come to stay. They came to introduce you to you. 4. The pain is proof of depth. Here's a truth most people won't tell you. When the universe sends someone truly aligned with your soul, it doesn't always feel like a fairy tale. It won't always come wrapped in peace, comfort, or butterflies. Sometimes it feels like fire. Sometimes it feels like everything inside you is breaking apart. Not because they're wrong for you, but because your soul is finally waking up. When someone touches your soul at that level, they don't just bring joy, they bring clarity. And clarity is often painful. Because now, you finally see what you've been avoiding. The walls you've built around your heart start to crack. The wounds you buried rise to the surface. The coping mechanisms you once called strength begin to fall apart. Why? Because real love doesn't play by the ego's rules. It doesn't come to make you feel safe. It comes to make you whole. And to become whole, you must confront the broken. You start asking questions you've never dared to ask. Why am I so scared of being left? Why do I push away people who care? Why does vulnerability feel like danger? And you realize you're not just falling for them. You're falling into the unhealed version of yourself. Carl Jung said it best. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You don't heal by pretending you're okay. You heal by facing what's not okay. And sometimes, the person who makes your heart race is the same person who holds up the mirror to the pain you've never dared to face. 5. When the soul is touched, the shadow stirs. Maybe it's their silence that unsettles you. Not because it's cruel, but because it echoes old memories of being unseen. Maybe it's their strength that rattles you, not because they intend to overpower, but because it reveals the insecurities you've kept quietly hidden. Maybe it's how they pull away that stings, not because they owe you closeness, but because it reawakens that ancient fear of being left behind. But here's the truth. They're not your enemy. They're your mirror. And in that mirror, you don't just see them. You begin to see yourself. The parts you protect, the fears you deny, the child within you still aching to be chosen. Because real relationships don't simply offer comfort, they challenge your story. They don't just spark romance, they spark revelation. Love, true love, isn't here to coddle the ego. It's here to shape the soul. Every emotional trigger they awaken is not a punishment. It's an invitation to slow down, to turn inward, to heal what's been waiting in silence. This is how it begins. You start writing again, not just to make sense of the chaos, but to hear your own voice. You ask deeper questions, the kind that hurt before they heal. You notice the patterns you swore weren't yours. And slowly, without fanfare or applause, you begin to love yourself. Not because someone else made you feel worthy, but because you finally realized you always were. This pain, as unbearable as it feels, is sacred. It's not a sign that something broke. It's a sign that something surfaced. And only soul-deep connections have that kind of power. The power to shake you, to awaken you, to make numbness impossible. And as you begin to heal, something unexpected happens. Gratitude rises, not because the path was smooth, but because it was real. Because it stripped you down to your truth. Because it made you grow in ways comfort never could. Some people don't enter your life to stay. They come to open a door, to break the spell of numbness, to stir the storm you tried to silence. And that storm, it doesn't destroy you, it reveals you. So if you find yourself aching after meeting someone unforgettable, don't rush to escape the feeling. Don't numb it. Don't label it as wrong. Honor it. Because pain like that, it doesn't come from something shallow. It comes from something sacred. And sacred pain always leaves you more whole than it found you. 6. When love doesn't stay, but still transforms, it doesn't always last. But that doesn't mean it wasn't real. Carl Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And that's exactly what a destined encounter does. It transforms you. It doesn't always arrive at the perfect time. It doesn't always meet your expectations. It may not fit neatly into your plans, but it leaves fingerprints on your soul that never fade. These people don't come to fulfill fantasies. They come to burn away illusions, to disrupt the patterns you didn't know were keeping you asleep, to awaken something sacred inside you that comfort never could. Maybe they taught you what love truly feels like. Maybe they exposed the parts of you still aching for healing. Maybe they inspired a version of life you once felt unworthy of imagining. And maybe, just maybe, their greatest gift was the pain of their absence. Because that pain became your teacher. And pain, when seen through the lens of wisdom, isn't punishment, it's sacred instruction. These soul encounters remind you, real love isn't always about forever. It's about evolution. You don't always marry the one who wakes up your soul. Sometimes you meet them to remember who you are, to realign your spirit, to prepare you for the next chapter of your life. A chapter you couldn't have written without the shift they sparked within you. Yes, it hurts, but it's also liberating, because you begin to understand. Letting go isn't failure, it's fulfillment. The soul contract was honored, the lesson complete. That's the difference between attachment and awareness. Attachment begs, "Why can't we go back?" Awareness whispers, "You've outgrown that chapter. It's time to move forward." So no, not all destined encounters are forever. But they are never wasted. They're written into your evolution, etched into your becoming, carved not as regrets, but as sacred reminders of how far you've come. One day, you'll look back, not with pain, but with peace, not with longing, but with quiet gratitude. Because you'll realize they didn't come to stay. They came to ignite, to awaken the next version of you. And in that awakening, you discovered the most powerful love of all, the love you give yourself in the quiet, when no one else is around. The love that doesn't chase, beg, or cling, but trusts, surrenders, and evolves. That is the true purpose of destined love. 7. The universe sends. When you're ready, not when you're desperate. Desperation attracts confusion. Lack attracts more lack. Fear summons cycles that repeat. Until you finally stop and say, "Enough, I want to heal." People don't always come into your life to stay. Sometimes they arrive to break your heart. Not because the universe is cruel, but because your soul made a silent request. Teach me what I haven't yet learned. And when you're still operating from unhealed pain, from avoidance, from fear, the people who show up will mirror that energy. They'll be inconsistent because you haven't found your own stability. They'll be emotionally distant because you're still emotionally raw. They'll confuse you because your inner world is still clouded by doubt and noise. But then something shifts. After the heartbreaks, after the sleepless nights, after the self-betrayals, you stop chasing love. You stop begging to be seen. You stop performing just to be chosen. Instead, you turn inward. You sit in the silence. You face your wounds. You begin the slow, sacred work of becoming whole, without anyone else. You stop asking, "When will I meet the one?" and start asking, "What parts of me have I been running from?" You stop fearing solitude. You start falling in love with your own peace. And that is when the universe responds. Not with noise, not with chaos, not with a dopamine rush wrapped in red flags, but with alignment, subtle, quiet, clear. like the soft vibration of a piano string finally resonating with another, like two souls humming the same ancient melody after lifetimes apart. You won't feel the need to chase it. You won't overanalyze it. You won't question your worth in their presence, because they won't come to complete you. They'll come to walk beside the version of you that already knows. I am whole. I am ready. I am no longer afraid of my own reflection. This is what true love feels like. Not addiction, not obsession, not chaos, but resonance. And from that moment forward, your life will never be the same. Not because someone saved you, but because you finally saved yourself. And the universe simply responded to your healing. Because that's how it works. You don't get what you want. You get what you're aligned with. So heal, grow, let go of the noise, and become the version of you that no longer begs for love, but attracts it effortlessly, simply by being true. Conclusion: the universe whispers through people. Not every encounter is coincidence. The next time someone enters your life and something inside you stirs. When your breath catches. When time slows down. When you feel something unexplainable move through your chest. Pause. Don't rush to define it. Don't force it into a label. Just feel it. Because not every spark is romantic. And not every connection is forever. But every soul you meet carries meaning. Some come to show you your strength. Some awaken your forgotten wounds. Some remind you of your worth. And some teach you how to walk away from what no longer serves you. So instead of asking, "Who is this person to me?" ask, "What are they showing me about myself?" Is it joy? Is it fear? Is it peace? Is it an old wound resurfacing for closure? Because people are never random. They are messengers from the universe, from your higher self, from the version of you that already knows what you truly need. The universe doesn't respond to loneliness. It responds to readiness. Some come to shake you, some to soothe you, some to burn down the illusions you built around your heart. But all of them, yes, all, come to guide you one step closer to your truth. So the next time someone walks in and stirs your soul, don't just react. Observe, listen, because the universe doesn't shout, it whispers. And those whispers, they only make sense to the version of you that's finally ready to hear. So let me ask you something real. Has the universe ever sent someone into your life? Unexpected, unplanned, unforgettable. Someone who didn't stay forever, but changed everything. Maybe they came during a storm. Maybe they left before you were ready. But something about them, their timing, their presence, their truth, left fingerprints on your soul that still haven't faded. If someone just came to mind, share your story in the comments. No matter how big or small, I read every single one. Because this space isn't just about words. It's about connection. Yours, ours, the collective human experience. And if this message reached something deep within you, if it made you pause, reflect, or remember, then don't let it end here. Like it. Subscribe Stoic Mindset Mastery and share it with someone who feels more than they speak. Someone who knows that when the universe speaks, it doesn't shout, it whispers. And today, maybe it whispered through you.